Greetings, everyone. The purpose of this short video is really about threefold. First of all, I'd like to visit with you just briefly about our work on this last week's assignment, our small group assignment on the evaluation of an experimental research study. Talk with you a little bit, then secondly, about this next week's assignment on statistics. I know that's one of everyone's favorite topics. And then a third, to talk just briefly about the next small group assignment that is really due within a couple weeks, but we want to get you started on it pretty quickly anyway. So first of all, let's go back to this last week's assignment. I really appreciate the way your groups came together. Each of the groups found an efficient way, if you will, to find and then evaluate an experimental research study. I can see that most of you are really doing a great job of applying the concepts that we've been talking about thus far this semester. Make sure that you take a look at my feedback comments on this assignment in Module 3, feedback links, and then also any individualized comments that I put into your grade center. Okay, enough said. I really, again, I appreciate the way the groups have come together and worked over this last week. Enough said about that assignment. Next week, we're working on statistics. And again, I know that's not one of your favorite subjects by any stretch of the imagination. I'd encourage you to relax just a little bit. I really do not expect you to be experts on statistics, and that's certainly not the purpose of this course. But what I really would like to do is to have you, anyway, come up with an idea of what scales of measurement are, what measures of central tendency are, and then also understand how statistics are applied, and really kind of note the differences between descriptive and inferential statistics. And that's really the intent of this assignment anyway. There's a lot of explicit detail on statistics in our textbook. Again, relax, just do the best that you can with this assignment. Let me see what I can do a little bit, though, to clear up one of the issues that typically comes up on this assignment is our discussion of the null hypothesis. And that's kind of technical, and let me see if I can help explain what the null hypothesis is all about. Our text talks about the three different versions of the null hypothesis, but really it kind of confuses us just a little bit by the way they define it. So here we go. I'll do the best I can anyway. First of all, when you complete an experimental research study, you come up with some results. And if your hypothesis has been that there will be a difference in some performance based upon the manipulation of a variable, there's some ways to explain that difference. Let me give you an example. Say, for instance, that we took a sample of Nebraska teachers, and for our experimental group, we provided some specific training about taking the graduate record examination, or the GRE. For our control group, we did not provide the training. All of our group's participants then did take the GRE, and we compared the scores between the two groups. A couple of things, or some explanations, could happen to talk about our results. Say we saw that, or found anyway, that there was a significant difference, or the mean score for those teachers taking the preparation program to take the GRE was higher than the mean score for the sample of teachers that did not have the training. That's what we'd hope in this study, obviously. Okay. Couple of things, actually three different explanations could help us think about those results, or what caused the difference in those mean scores. First of all, it's very possible that there is a true difference in the scores of our general population on that particular measure anyway, or how we measured our treatment, which was the application of the training program. Okay, so there really is a difference. That's one of the things that could happen. The second thing is that that difference could be the result of something we did in our experiment to confound our results just a little bit, or it could be a result of our experimental procedures. So the difference could be noted basically as a result of our experimental procedures. The third possible explanation is that, I'm going to read some of this to make sure I get this correctly for sure. Perhaps the general populations from which we sampled, really there is no difference. And what we did is we made a sampling error. Even though we may have randomized our sample may not be completely representative of the population. Well, this third potential explanation represents really the null hypothesis. And when we think of the null hypothesis, it's almost a counterintuitive kind of thing. It's really suggesting that there are no differences. And there's really three different ways to look at the null hypothesis. And in our textbook, we talk about version A anyway. And this version states that any difference in the performances of the groups was created by some kind of sampling error. Again, what we've done is that any differences measured in the study are the result of an unrepresentative sample in spite of our efforts to try to create a representative sample. So the first version of the null hypothesis would suggest that if the population that we sampled from teachers in Nebraska anyway, on our training on the GRE scores, and the teachers who did not receive training on the GRE scores, if that was not truly representative of the population, the study results could be skewed, so to speak. Okay, so version A really results or refers to the idea of sampling error, if you will. Our sample really doesn't match the population. Version B, however, states that there's really no true difference in the performance of subjects in the general population. For instance, if we did a census and we took every Nebraska teacher and divided them into groups for our experiment, there really would be no true difference, or really no difference in the general population. So version 2 of the null hypothesis really refers to the relationship to the general population. Version 3, however, states that any differences in the performances on the variable assessed by our two groups were really essentially zero. So, for instance, if our means, showed up to be the same between our tests for the population that received the, I shouldn't use the word population, excuse me, our sample that received the training versus the sample that did not receive the training, maybe those differences really are zero to begin with, and the population, however, might not match that. So again, there's some kind of nuances here, and I, don't worry too much if you don't get all that, but hopefully just kind of think about that. We'll, as we work on our discussion boards this week, I'll provide some other feedback after we complete that, and as you think about that and with one another, think about those three different versions. I know that's kind of complicated and complex, but do the best you can with that for sure. Okay, again, I wish you the best with this assignment. Don't be intimidated by it. Just do your best job, and we'll converse about that assignment as we complete it. The third thing I really wanted to talk with you about today is our assignment, our next small group assignment, which is really coming up in a couple of weeks. But I'd like you to check in with your groups no later than this next Monday anyway on, what is that? That's the 24th, isn't it? Okay, is that right? I got to look at my calendar. The 21st, I'm sorry. No. 14th. I can't even read my calendar this morning. But what we're after is that because of the university spring break, we have kind of a different schedule over the next couple of weeks. But I'd really like you to check in with your groups, think about this. You've got some time to get this assignment completed. Your task for this next small group assignment is to evaluate a meta-analysis. And remember that a meta-analysis is a specific kind of literature synthesis that actually uses some kind of quantitative means to analyze results of previous research studies. You can go back to my comments on topic number 5 to talk or to find out a little bit more about a meta-analysis. But make sure you find a meta-analysis. If you have difficulty, let me know. I'll see if I can help get some sources for you or some ideas for meta-analysis. Using the same groups as we did this last time, the reason for that is that really trying to make sure that well, Google Docs is really the reason for that. It takes us a little while to get that set up, and I hope we've got all of the glitches taken care of here anyway. We'll be asking you to use Google Docs again to write your reports. What your task is to click on the group assignment tab in Blackboard, go to your group. There's hopefully some detailed enough instructions to show you what to do. There's a discussion board that you can go to for your small group. Please use that discussion board to set up your work and to find your meta-analysis. Then go to Google Docs and write your report. I should have an invitation to your Google Doc out to you in the very near future. Okay, well, hopefully this intent again of this short video was to talk a little bit about last week, hopefully help you relax just a little bit about statistics this week and set up our next small group assignment. As always, be sure to ask me questions. If I've confused you in any way, let me know and I'll do what I can to hopefully straighten things out. Have a great week, everyone, and take care.